Hello and welcome back to another One Piece video. So today I have Sakazuki for you guys. So Sakazuki, in my opinion, probably put him at like a tier 2 deck. He is very fun. He is pretty strong too into a lot of the rogue decks. But when you're going up against obviously the deck at the format, which is Zoro still, I think, Sakazuki just falls pretty short in that matchup, and that's why he's not like at a higher tier for me. Yeah, but if you find yourselves running into like a lot of rogue decks, Sakazuki does do a good job against decks that doesn't have removal protection. So the list that I'm running is pretty standard. The only things that I wanted to test out is this new 8 cost Luffy. I know some people have been playing him, but I really like him too, just because a lot of decks with the protection removal now has those cards that are like, for example, Tashigi is a 3 cost, the new blue Rosinante is a 1 cost, and so he's able to help you bounce those annoying characters or just get rid of their removal protection condition, and then you can just go ahead and continue with your game plan and remove the rest of their board, right? I tried running 2 of him, but I found that, you only ever need 1 to resolve in order to win the game. And also, this card is not your win condition, and I just didn't like running him at, like, I tried 3 of. He just felt like super bricky. So he is very situational. And so that's why I keep him at a 1 of. And then also the 1 of Stussy as well, just because in this deck, obviously you have the 4 Tashigis, 4 brand news, 2 Mancherries, and so you're actually you actually have a lot of small bodies on your field. And so I think Stussy is really good for that, just because a lot of people expect like the Kuzan to drop down, but Stussy being able to drop down anything without any cost reduction setup, it's just super nice, right? And the reason why I like Stussy over Kuzan is because I'm playing the Slave Arrow. Slave Arrow is just really good into that Zoro matchup. Like I was mentioning before, I think that Zoro is probably Sakazuki's worst matchup, and so if you draw Slave Arrow, it actually like turns the tides a lot, right? Just because you're able to, for example, play down your Rebecca. Obviously, he's going to think he's going to be able to swing in through your Rebecca, but then you can block with Rebecca, Slave Arrow her back to hand, and then he essentially wastes his turn doing that, right? So that's the idea around it. And then also you have a lot of other targets you can bounce to, like you can bounce your brand news, you can bounce the Utas, and even your Hinas, like being able to reuse her cost reduction effect is super nice. So and then the last addition I wanted to include that I don't see like too many people running is the Gravity Blade. And I think Gravity Blade is super good, just because I don't like this card personally, just because Amano takes so much like setup in order to maximize. And I found that I'd rather just rip a Gravity Blade than drop like a Suru, a Hina, and Amano, like 3 cards out of hand. Even though, yes, that play you develop a Hina, just being able to save like resources in hand is really important to me. So that's why I like the Gravity Blade. I might even run like 2 Gravity Blades over the Amano here, but obviously the 4 Hound Blaze is a must for me. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the deck. Let's just hop over to some gameplay. Okay, so first game I got for you guys, obviously we're gonna see how this deck performs against Zoro here. And so first turn he does put down the Hiyori. We're able to answer with the Tashigi, and then putting down 2 Tashigis, I bet, just because Tashigi is going to be able to help us deal with that Hiyori without having to commit like our leader swing, and without having to like use a removal card, right, for that card. And so here I get rid of the Shirahoshi here, just because Shirahoshi gets kind of destroyed by Zoro, not gonna lie. So playing her down just for the reduction, I'd rather just have like a Hina in hand. But here, just getting rid of the Hiyori here. And then probably playing down the Uta into brand new. Or I could even... Yeah, no, it's probably Uta into brand new here. And then starting off with a 5k swing. I probably should have swung 5 first, but totally fine if they want to rest down the Uta just because his leader can't deal with her anyways. And then we do pick up that Gravity Blade with the brand new here. So him playing down the Cavendish, we should be able to answer him. And then I obviously don't want to go down too low yet. He obviously should have just gotten rid of the... Oh wait, no, he can't. He needs 3 Dawn, right? For his leader ability. Sorry about that. But yeah, we're able to reduce the Cavendish down to 3. And then leader swing, bringing him down to 2. And then just swinging in 2 6s here, probably. Just because we can put the brand new down, but I'd rather just apply as much pressure as possible while we can. And this is one of the downsides of Sakazuki as well. Him just having like all these tiny bodies means that you have to use a lot of your Dawn to pressure life. So swinging in 9 at lead here. No way for us to get out of that one. And then just getting rid of one of the Kuzans. So here I'm just trying to dig for like a Hound Blaze and then or a T-Bone, which I do find, because I really don't want to leave this Cavendish on the board. So for ratio's sake, obviously the Amano is better here over the Gravity Blade, but yeah, it's just very situational, right? So luckily we were able to find ourselves a T-Bone anyways, and then able to get rid of that Cavendish there. So he does answer with the Tashigi. It's a little scary for us here. So swinging in 8 into the T-Bone. Yeah, definitely just gonna let him go there. And then another 9 at lead. So him playing down the blocker here tells me that he probably doesn't have a lot of counter in hand. So yeah, he was definitely scared of dying there, right? I could Gravity Blade here, but that would mean that we're not able to pressure super hard into life, which we really need to, because we do need to close out this match in the next couple turns. So I think here I decide to Hina and Hound Blaze. Or I can even put down the Shirahoshi and Hound Blaze, right? But I'm just worried that if I commit the Shirahoshi, he would have to, or he would be able to rest her down anyways. So we are able to bring down the Tashigi down to 2 cost. A bunch of 6k swings, I imagine. So here's a 6k swing. And then at this point, I think Manchuri's the right play here, just because we can pick up a 2k from the, yeah, pick up the 2k from the Rebecca. And developing ourselves a blocker here is super nice. So here, I actually decide to overlay the Tashigi. Looking back, I probably should have overlaid the Manchuri, but it didn't matter too much just because we do have 2 3k bodies on the board, right? So we should be, yeah, we should have been okay anyways. And then he actually drops his 2k here to pop our Manchuri, which is good for us because... Yeah, which is good for us because that's just like another 2k counter that we don't have to deal with. Yeah, I'm sorry, I need to grab some water after this. So here I could Gravity Blade again, but I would die to the Dead Man's Game here if I do. So yeah, I really am just looking for counter. The Shirahoshi is going to be super nice because even with Dead Man's Game, we should be able to survive. I think I decide not to play her and then instead just fake out a... yeah, instead I decide to fake out a Slave Arrow here. Just because if he swings in 12-12 with Slave Arrow, it's going to be super easy to counter. So then luckily for us, he does take the bait and uses the Demon Slice in order to rest down our Brook and our Dawn there. And then, yeah, with the Dead Man's Game, swinging in 8. Obviously just going to let the Brook go and then counter out of the 8k swing there. So now I'm able to swing in 7 with the Hina. Him taking that means that we are guaranteed lethal here and just able to close out the match. So honestly, on the Zoro's part, if I had the Slave Arrow, he would have won. But since we were able to mind game him a little bit, we were able to steal a win away from Zoro there. So yeah. Okay, so next game I got for you guys, we're going to be going up against Green Yellow Yamato. And historically, Yamato does really well in... like, the earlier the format is, the better she does, just because this is when people are trying to figure out what's the best deck, what's the best strategy to navigate the format. And obviously with the most recent topping, Yamato is getting a lot more popular, right? So I personally don't think that she's going to stick around for very long. You know, I could totally be wrong about it. But yeah, she is definitely one of those decks that will be a lot more popular around this time as people try to like test out the deck that topped that regional, right? So luckily for us, we were able to dodge the Ohm finding another Holly, but he did have a Holly in hand anyways. But we should be able to answer both of these on the board here. And then the Slave Arrow already finding us value in this matchup as well. So I honestly really like Slave Arrow. I might try to find ways to use Slave Arrow a little more. Like maybe run like 4 Slave Arrows, like 4 Helmephos, 4 brand news obviously. But just something like that, just so Slave Arrow is just like really good to get recurring value, but also Slave Arrows are win condition against like these aggro decks. So I might try to do a build like that and see if we can be successful with that. So but here Yamato swinging in 5 at lead, definitely not wanting to give her just like a free 5k swing double attack. But with 7 Dawn, he could drop like a Hody, but that means he would risk us just cracking in super heavy. But he does have an Ace, so Ace is super good as well. And then I think we can just answer this Ace with a Shirahoshi Houndblaze, leaving 1 Dawn up for the Slave Arrow. Or we can even Shirahoshi brand new, right? Just because even if he plays down like a Hody next turn, we have enough counter to get out of a 7k swing from his leader. So we're able to swing in 8k power here. And then, yeah, this is my bad. I forgot to hit cancel. But he is able to answer with the Thor. And yeah, I wasn't really afraid of the Hody Jones. And so I actually decide to, yeah, I decide to rip the brand new there. So this is really good for us here, just because now at this point, like if he drops down Hody Jones, he'll go down to 1 life, and then we should be able to just crack in super heavy, right, and end the match from there. So he swings in 7 at lead. Obviously just going to counter out of this one, just because if he swings in 10 with Hody Jones, it's pretty much wraps. Actually, I guess we did have the counter for it, but it would have been 3 swings versus, or three cards out of hand versus just those 2. Yeah, so here we should be able to block him out. So 1, being able to get rid of that Hody Jones with the Shirahoshi and Rebecca combo. Yeah, so first swinging in 6 at lead. If he takes here, obviously we're just going to load up the brand new and swing in 12. But since he counters, we can just play it slow for 1 more turn, playing down the Shirahoshi. And then before dropping down the Rebecca, I think we dropped the Suru here, just so that the Rebecca can pick up the Brook. And then Brook obviously just getting rid of that Hody Jones for us. And then at this point, absolutely no way for him to come back. And he just scoops it up, right? So yeah, able to take a pretty convincing win against Yamato. And I think Yamato does do really, really well into forward life leaders. So yeah, definitely be careful for this matchup, as you know, the popularity is rising thanks to that Yamato top. Okay, so last game I got for you guys. We're gonna be going up against Purple Luffy, and so Luffy I think fell off a little bit, but I think he's still pretty strong. I think people are trying to, you know, test different variations of Purple Luffy, but I'm surprised they're not just playing the standard like Luffy Taro, right, the Luffy Taro package into the Rush Luffy. Seems like this Luffy player is just trying the Purple Doflamingo build. But him swinging in 7k at lead here. Yeah, just blocking that with the Slave Arrow. Being able to recycle our brand new as well is super nice. And then here, probably just playing down the brand new again. Grabbing another Hound Blaze. And then swinging in 2 5s. I think there was some merit to play down the Hina, but I actually rather save the Hina just because I know that Purple Luffy does play a lot of big bodies, and it's just going to be super important for us to be able to reduce that. But we did find another Hina in life anyways, so I guess at that point it's just a matter of deciding whether we value like his resources in hand or just having another body on board. And I think at this point we should be able to, yeah, we should be able to bounce that 8 cost Doflamingo here. Right, and this is why I like Jozu a lot, just because we're able to use the Suru to reduce the Doflamingo and then just get our 2k right back to hand. So that's super nice. So then just forcing him to make the same play as last turn, totally fine for us. So then 6k at lead, just gonna counter out of that one. And then another 6k at lead, I think we're gonna counter out of this one as well. Yeah, just because with the taller bodies, it's really important that we're able to counter out of his swings with just 1 card. So definitely just going to take that opportunity while we can. And then I think at this point, probably just going to swing in 5k at lead here. And then he does have the slow beam, which now we're going to have to play around. So I totally forgot that Purple Luffy players do like to tech in this card. And then the Stussy coming up huge, being able to pop his Doflamingo there. So now we do still have board tempo, and then him putting down just a senior pink is really good for us, right? So now we're able to basically just rip apart his board. And then at this point, yes, it is a little scary, but I think our best course of action would be to actually just load up on our Stussy here. And then just making sure that we can get rid of his senior pink here. And we do. And then just swing in 5 at lead. Just because if we left that senior pink on the board, there was actually no way for us to counter out of the next turn, right? So had to make sure that that card left the field. And then we were able to capitalize on that. So he did grab a Gamma Knife from trash. And I think even if he used it on our Stussy, we would be able to answer his board anyways. Or answer his swing, sorry. So in this game, actually, we have 2 Stussies. This is when I was like messing around with the ratios. Right, but yeah, I definitely still think Stussy at 1 is correct. So just because he used his slow beam for a 9k swing, I'm just gonna be swinging in a bunch of minimums at this point, right? And then if he takes it, we're able to use our Luffy, being able to load him up to 9k power, and then taking the win from there. So I think that the drawback of this deck is that they run a lot of events and a lot of bricks, right? Just because you want to run Katakuri, you want to run like Senior Pink and the 8-drop Doflamingo. But because you're running all that, if you have no Dawn up, I'm just going to be swinging at you with as many minimums as possible. And as you can see, we were able to capitalize there and close out the match. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the list. The list, honestly, it feels pretty good, but I think it is missing something. So I am going to be like messing around with this leader a little bit. Like as you can see with this iteration of the deck, I tried to include Laboon, but ended up, you know, deciding to go with Shirahoshi instead of the Laboons. I think there's still like a little bit of wiggle room to play around with Sakazuki. Like I said earlier, I kind of want to try the build with like 4 VVs, being able to draw 2, and then 4 slave arrows with the Helmeppos and like the 2 cost reduction cards. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.